Mm-hmm. Hey. When I wake up in the morning, love, and the sun lights up my eyes, something without warning, love, weighs heavy on my mind. When I look at you, and the world's all right with me, just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. Lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely, a lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day. When the world inside is ahead of me seems impossible to face, someone else instead of me always seems to know the way. When I look at you, and the world's all right with me, just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. Lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, a lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, a lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely, a lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, a lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, a lovely day, a lovely day. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Unity Temple in the Plaza, a place where diversity is praised and peace and harmony are the rewards. This is a Sunday designated by our bylaws that we do an annual business meeting. It's not going to affect the service at all, but it is going to take about 5 minutes for us to review what's taken place in the last year and vote for new board candidates. So I now call the 135th annual meeting of Unity Temple to order. Now, at that first meeting, the people had no idea what their future held. They were at 9th and Tracy, but there was no Silent Unity, no Daily Word, no temple on the plaza, no temple at all, no Unity Village, nor the Unity Church in the country. It was just this church. And from what I've understood, and I've done a lot of research on this, the people at that time didn't have a need for TikTok. They seemed to get along just perfectly without it. Yeah, I got a laugh out of the young one over there. That's good. So over the last year, we've experienced a lot of activity and attendance that has been on the increase, an increase of positive energy, an increase in revenues, an increase in other organizations wanting to rent our facility. It's been a very uplifting year. The Renaissance campaign brought in over $2.2 million, which is quickly committed to replacing and repairing various things, such as our entire HVAC system, which was $1.2 million. We're also presently in the process of refurbishing all of our stained glass windows. Many of them are 70 years old, at least. They're starting to bow. They've been subjected to a lot of harsh weather and sunshine. So that'll be done in the next 2 months, and then we're moving on the rest of the windows that surround the building, putting in something that's much more environmentally friendly. This is also the day when we elect new board members. There are 4 nominees. 2 will be elected as board members and 2 as alternates. So I'd like the nominees to please come forward, please. Rip, that's you. Fred, that's you. Tessa, that's you. Patty Burrell, is she here? No. Oh yeah, just take center stage if you would. These are 3 of our 4 candidates. And Patty Burrell is not with us, but she's the top one on the ballot. If you hadn't get a ballot in the mail or you didn't get one electronically, if you raise your hand, the ushers will bring you one. Anybody? Down here, that's good. Our second candidate is Rip Fernholz, currently a member of the board of directors and our treasurer. We have Fred Schell, who's head of the building committee and also a former board member. We have Tessa Sheehan, who's also a previous board member, and then she took an assignment with us for a short period of time, and now she's back moving towards the board. Everybody have a ballot? If you do so, you can turn that in at the end of the service, or the ushers will pick it up during the offering. Thank you. Good luck to each of you. And I'll begin the service with the temple chimes, the opening prayer, and Jerome with the call to inspiration. The opening prayer can be found on the screen or on the inside page of your bulletin. Say it with me if you choose. On this day, we dedicate ourselves to peace on earth. We accept ourselves without harsh judgment and express appreciation for our individuality. We live without fear to meet the events of this day with confidence. We accept others without prejudice to experience a sense of unity with all people. We honor our earthly environment and recognize a oneness with all creation, in harmony with ourselves, our lives, other people, and all of nature. We live this day with a peaceful mind, a peaceful heart, and a peaceful spirit. Thank you, God. Amen.
Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, yes, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be.
Now, please stand with me and sing our opening hymn, Wonderful Words of Life.
Sing them over again to me, wonderful words of life. Let me more than their beauty see, wonderful words of life. Words of life and beauty, teach me faith and duty. Beautiful words, wonderful words, wonderful words. yonder mountain so I can make it out on my own. Rolling rivers so wide, sweep me up and to bear me on. Up against the sky so bright that I can't even close my eyes. And I know I will follow, yeah. Follow love. Even if I have to be my own. Follow love. Oh, I will follow. Follow love. Follow love. Growing slowly like a tree, someday soon, darling, I love you, I love you. Soft and gentle, full summer moon sets my soul free. Thank you, yes. Up against the sky so bright that I can't even close my eyes. And I know I will follow, yeah. Follow love. Even if I have to go. Follow love. Oh, I will follow. Follow love. Yes. Follow love. Oh, then half the future and half the past, all waiting inside those eyes. And after all this, to last and to last, till at last is your time to rise, true believer that I am a wise. Lead me on, soft and gentle, full summer moon sets my soul free. Thank you. Leave the word unspoken, and the spell will not be broken. And I know I will follow, yeah. Follow love. Even if I have to be my own. Follow love. Oh, I will follow. Follow love. Oh, I will follow. Follow love. And I want someone to hold my hand. Follow love. And I want someone to lead me on. Lead me on. Someone to walk beside me. Follow love. Someone to follow me. Yeah, yes, yes. I will follow, follow, follow love. Follow love. Any way it meets me, I will follow love, yeah. Follow love. Ooh.
You're always great, but I think we just experienced Jerome Unplugged. That was awesome, man. Thank you so much. Beautiful. I don't know how many of you might remember, it was a number of years ago, that there was a great infestation of squirrels in churches all around the Kansas City area about this time of year. The Presbyterians handled it in their own way. They decided the squirrels were predestined to be there, so they just left them alone. The Baptists thought that they would just smoke the pesky little critters out of the church, so they lit little fires all over in small stoves, and sure enough, the squirrels fled, but just a few days later they returned, so that technique didn't work. The Lutherans decided to humanely trap the squirrels, and they took them to a forest on the outskirts of the city and let them go there, but it took them a few weeks. Nonetheless, they returned, so everybody could not find a solution to this problem. The Episcopalians decided to put bowls of whiskey all around the floor in the church, and they would get the squirrels drunk, and then they'd capture them all. But what they discovered was that drunken squirrels can do far more damage than sober squirrels. So that didn't work. Here at Unity Temple on the Plaza, I'd like to say, however, I commend you. Duke decided to baptize all of the squirrels and make them members of the church. And now we only see them at Easter and Christmas. So get ready to welcome all the squirrels, okay? Richard Rohr. Anybody familiar with Richard Rohr? My God, the man is just doing incredible work in terms of what I would call liberating Christianity. And he shares these words. Christianity is a lifestyle. It's a way of being that is simple, nonviolent, shared, and loving. However, we made it into an established religion and all that goes along with that, and avoided the lifestyle change itself. One could then be warlike, greedy, racist, selfish, and vain throughout most of Christian history, and still believe that Jesus is one's personal Lord and Savior. The world has no time for such nonsense anymore. The suffering on earth is too great. Christianity, I believe, is far, far more than a religion. It's a way of living. It's a way of being in the world. And I mentioned to you last week, and I'll repeat it again this morning, the highest form of recognizing the Easter holiday, and I'll add to that now, the highest form of celebrating the true meaning of Christianity is to emulate the one you celebrate. Emulate the one you celebrate. That is to emulate the life that Jesus left to us as an example in our own lives today. And that has, I hate to say it because I want you all to be here every Sunday, it has very little to do with attending church. It has very little to do with how often, as wonderful as the Bible is, you refer to that and try to live from it. It really has to do with just common, simple things like kindness, generosity, demonstrating love, becoming aware of our own judgments that we may be condemning the world and individuals in it with, and really stepping up to the plate to live this life. I told you last week that Jesus mentioned to me in a conversation which I was having, which I do from time to time, the spirit of this great soul who blessed us, to know the truth. He said this also in the book of John, to know the truth and then to realize that this truth, once known, once realized, once actually, the best word is once remembered, will set you free. How many of you would like to be set free from all cares, all concerns, all worries, all woes, everything that seems to plague you in this world of time and space? You can be set free from it by knowing the truth. And then I mentioned last week, well, what is the truth? And I told you that I can't tell you what the truth is, which is not really the best thing for a minister to say from a platform. But I can't tell you what the truth is. I can tell you what my truth is, and then I can do everything possible to encourage you to make it the number one priority in your life to understand what your truth is, your spiritual truth, your spiritual reality. What's really true, not for anybody else in the world, but right now in this moment, what is true for you. And trust it. That's the sticky part. I can say, well, I think I know what the truth is for me, but then can I trust it to such a degree that I can live it out every day in my life? Nonetheless, I find that when we come together and we share our understandings, whether you're a minister, whatever you do in life, we come together and we share our understandings of truth as it's revealed to us, it supports the whole in growing and expanding in the collective awareness of what spiritual reality and truth is. So I took the liberty last week, and I'm going to repeat it again this morning, of sharing with you what my truth is. I believe that we have two natures, and I have specifically altered the terminology that I utilize, with all due respect to traditional terminology of the Christ, which I'm very close to. I grew up in unity. The terminology of God. Sometimes I think that in the collective conditioning that we've all received, we put images over some of these terms that get in the way of our ability to realize what we often tell you in unity, which is that you and God are one. One. We are all one with whatever it is that we want to call this energy, this intelligence and creativity that we're all a part of. We're one with it. Now, that oneness shows up in human form in two different expressions, I believe. And as I said last week, take this, leave it. I'm not attached. I'm just sharing with you my understanding of truth. After many, many years of contemplating it and continued contemplation of it, I think we have an internal nature and an external nature. I think our internal nature is our authentic nature, and our external nature is our inauthentic nature. I think our authentic nature is comprised of authentic energy that, when extended out, creates an authentic experience of life and reality. Jesus called this the kingdom. And to describe it, we use words like peace, appreciation, joy, abundance, all summed up in the final word of love. The internal experience of life is a loving experience. It's a compassionate experience, and it's our natural way of being. It's our authentic way of being. However, being creatures of free will, we can define ourselves any way we choose. And a lot of us have chosen some pretty poor ideas to define ourselves. Ideas like condemnation and conflict and incompetency and lack, all born out of the single word of fearfulness. Of fearfulness. We've imagined ourselves to be something that we have every right to be afraid of. My son has referred in years gone by to this experience as being like a virtual reality or a video game, and that the authentic nature is the one that is operating the virtual reality game or the video game. So I'm the one in my authentic nature that's there playing the game. To play the game, I have to create an inauthentic, an imaginary character that shows up on the screen in front of me. And it's important to remember that I am the one that is operating or animating that character. But what can happen is we get so invested in the game that we forget that we are not the operator of the game. We think we are the character that we've created that's in the game, that being our inauthentic nature. So I like that example. So often, you may have noticed, we have a tendency to get caught up in this virtual reality or this inauthentic experience of life. And it seems almost unavoidable at times. We forget that one of these natures is us, and the other one is the character that we are animating. So when we get caught up in the external drama, which seems almost inevitable, and actually that's okay, because I think that is I don't want to use the word classroom, that is the environment in which we grow into the remembrance of who and what we are, the authentic nature. When we're in that allure of the external experience, it's important to stay objective, as objective as possible, because that drama, doesn't it just love to suck you in? And don't you have enough conditioning as a human being to walk right into its predicaments? I do. It's important to stay objective, to embrace it all to the best of your ability. Enjoy playing the character. This is a game. We get so trapped in taking it all so seriously and so heavy that it puts a great burden over us. Instead of just gently and lovingly molding the character that we've created that's showing up in the virtual reality of our existence and allowing it to become the likeness of our authentic nature. Now, sometimes I like to sort of give you true confessions here from the platform of Unity on Bay. I'm going to do that this morning, but first I'm going to tell you this great story. I was the minister of Unity of the Palm Beaches in West Palm Beach, Florida, for about 5 years, and there was one day when arrived in my mailbox this little box, and I shook it. I could tell, something is in there. Don't know what it is, but it's piqued my curiosity. So I opened up the box, and first, what dropped out into my hand was a rusty old nail. A rusty old nail. And so there was a little note in there, and it said, "We would like to send you as many of these rusty old nails as you would like to have, completely free of charge. You can send an offering if you want to. And then what we'd like for you to do is pass these rusty old nails out to everyone who comes to your church on Easter Sunday, as a reminder of the reality that Jesus Christ was nailed to a cross with old rusty nails." We can imagine being a Unity minister wasn't exactly on fire with that idea, passing out rusty old nails. I didn't think it was such a good idea regardless. But it did prompt me to think of something. I thought, I don't want to pass out rusty old nails, but I could pass out some beautiful stones. Because for me, the greatest symbol of Easter has nothing to do with nails, rusty or not. It has nothing to do with crosses. It has everything to do with that stone that got rolled away. And so I tried to make it for a number of years a tradition to pass out these stones. Now, that story being shared with you, I'd like to tell you that the other day I was at a retail store with my granddaughter, now 13 years old. Love her to pieces. She came over to spend some time with me. We went to a retail store which shall remain unannounced for reasons I'm about to share. So we're in this retail store, and I notice as she's shopping that there are signs around the store that say, pick out anything you like in the store at the regular retail price, and today only you can have 40% off of that. And so Ash comes up to me with a book, and she says, Grandpa, can I get this book? And it's like $23, $24. And I said, well, I just saw this sign that says, I can have anything in the store, this regular price for 40% off. Sure, let's get the book. So we're there in the checkout line with a few other items that she had selected. And I told the lady in the line, I said, this book, which was the most expensive item that we had, I said, could I get that 40% off deal on this? And she said, oh, I'm sorry, sir. She said, that discount does not apply to books. It applies to anything else in the store, but not to books. So I said, oh, now, I was in my good Christian Unity minister identity at this point. And I said, I don't mean this personally. I understand you're employed by the store. But I really do believe that these signs that you have everywhere that make no mention of the fact that books are not included, something should be done about that. And she said, sir, do you have a complaint? And remember, I've depersonalized it. I'm objective. I know she's just a character in my video game. I'm not going to hold her accountable for this. She says, look, if you have a complaint, don't talk to me about it. Call 1-800 blah, 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 blah. So I felt like I had been immediately dismissed. I had given her my best Unity behavior, and it wasn't working, and I started to have an internal negative reaction to her. I mean, it was really stronger than I care to admit. It still lives in me, after all these years, it still lives with me, and I didn't think, thank you so much for making me aware of this aspect of myself that I was unaware of, this anger and this rage that still exists within me. Thank you so much. I didn't say that to her. I gave her the dirtiest look you could possibly imagine. And I didn't say another word. I just walked out of the store. Now, once I demonstrated this highly non-ministerial behavior, I reached into my pocket because one thing I do during Lent is I still try to keep a stone in my pocket, a little shiny stone. I reached in to get my key fob, and I found the stone instead because we were heading out to the car. And I looked at it and I went, oh, I just completely violated this. I didn't roll the stone away. I let the stone remain. And I could have gone back in the store and said, look, I'm so sorry. See, I got this stone and I forgot to roll it away. So just know that I love you and I think you're a child of God and you're wonderful and magnificent. But I wasn't ready to do that. I was holding the stone going, well, I won't even repeat the word that I said to myself, but it was like, dang, I didn't do my own work here. That's okay. How do I respond? I respond as lovingly to myself as I can. I knew probably in that moment that I should go back in and make an apology and recognize that the Christ presence dwells in her as it does in all people, but I wasn't ready to do that, so I just put the stone back in my pocket and we went on our way. Now, one of the good things you should know is that when you have these experiences, you don't have to be in the physical proximity or presence of this other individual. You can do it in your mind. And that's what I did when I got home and I was ready. After I had taken a few deep breaths and gotten over the drama of this retail revelation that I had received. And I just sent her my love and my energy from, I believe, a little higher space. But it was important for me to remember that I'm always free to choose my identity. Authentic, Christ-like, inauthentic, egoic. And realize I've had years of experience dwelling in the ego state. So when I find myself revisiting that space, not to be harsh, not to be judgmental, not to put myself down, but just to say, hey man, happy Easter, man. You're a good soul. You're going to be all right. You're taking this one step at a time, and everything in your life, you see, even the most unfortunate or adversarial circumstances and situations are there to bless you in some way. So it's a lifetime endeavor, I have found. Not something that I'm going to accomplish maybe by tomorrow, though anything could happen. Miracles do occur. But it's a lifetime adventure, and actually there's a joy to it. You know, once you begin to realize, okay, the moment that I'm triggered, in that moment, there's my opportunity. There's my opportunity to, as soon as I am able, lovingly mold myself into a greater and more beautiful expression of my authentic Christ-like nature. The way we do this, I believe, is simple, but not always easy. It involves free will, detachment from appearances, communion, or what we would call prayer, self-awareness, and forgiveness. For free will, I've shared with you before, I believe this wholeheartedly. The story that you tell is always, always, always the life that you live. The story you tell is the life that you live. Has kind of a rhythm to it. The story you tell is the life that you live. The story I tell is the life that I live. I'm free to make up any story I choose. I can tell an authentic story, or I can tell an inauthentic story. I can tell a Christ-based story, or I can tell an ego-based story, whichever one. Best thing to do is to choose an authentic identity for myself and speak my story and live my life out of that identity to the best of my ability. The other one is detachment from appearances, and this one I really enjoy because a little story I like to tell that goes along with it. Betty and George, they both live in this little rural town where everybody knows everybody else's business, right? So Betty's out getting ready to launch her day and go shopping and so forth, take care of some other activities and errands. She's driving down the main drag of this small town in front of the bar, and she sees George's truck parked right there in front of the bar. That's interesting. George's truck is parked in front of the bar. She goes about the business of the rest of her day, and it's getting a little past dinner time. She needs to get home. It's getting dark outside. She's driving back the same road that she took to get out to launch into her errands, and she sees now it's late at night, and George's truck is still parked in front of the bar. Next morning at church, Betty's out there talking to her friends, and she's saying, whoa, George's truck. I don't know if any of you saw this, but it was at the bar from early in the morning until late at night. And I'm just wondering if maybe George doesn't have a drinking problem. It's perfectly possible. Why else would his truck have been parked out there all day and way into the night? Next day, Monday morning, George is at work, and one of his friends says, hey, Betty was telling some stories about you in church yesterday that I think you should know about. First of all, she said that your truck was parked in front of the bar all day long, from morning until night. And secondly, she's telling everybody that she thinks you have a drinking problem. George just sort of shrugged his shoulders, and then he found his way going home that evening, and he parked his truck in Betty's driveway and left it there all night long. Moral of the story, don't judge by appearances. We don't know. It's so easy, isn't it, to jump to conclusions, to create assumptions in our minds. We don't know. We don't know. Judge not by appearances, which to me would be inauthentic expression or experience, things outside of us, versus judging by righteous judgment, which is authentic. And it never has anything to do with condemnation. Some call it discernment. It's just simply you and I deciding, this is the way I'm going to go, this is the way I'm not going to go. That's divine judgment, if there is such a thing, but not this temptation, constant temptation to look at things going on out here and to draw our own conclusions. Third is communion. Through communion or prayer, we can release our preoccupation. And this is what it all comes down to, is what are you preoccupied with? Are you preoccupied with everything that's going on out here in the spectrum of time and space? And God knows there are plenty of things to be worried, doubtful, and concerned about. tragic things that are taking place. I'm not saying we don't need to be aware of those and respond to them, but we do not have to be preoccupied with them. Our preoccupation can instead be on the spiritual reality that's within us. And that means closing our eyes as a symbol of our willingness to release the preoccupation with time and space and give our preoccupation to that spiritual reality, that authenticity that dwells within us. Knowing that as we do this, we're going to be producing an authentic, Christ-like energy that we can then move out into the world. And lo and behold, what that does is it does make a valuable, very valuable contribution toward the improvement of external circumstances because, what do you know, as within, so without. Next is self-awareness. That is the awareness, and this is about becoming aware of what am I thinking and what am I feeling. And where is what I'm thinking and feeling coming from? Is it coming from my inauthentic nature, or is it coming from my authentic nature? In such a way that, again, allows us to produce authentic energy that can make such a difference in positive improvement in our own personal lives as well as life on the planet. And finally, forgiveness. And I'm sure I've probably shared with you before, my idea of forgiveness is a little bit different than the idea of many folks, in that I don't think of forgiveness as being some kind of an act of benevolence. Like, you know, you really screwed up or you did me wrong, but because I'm such a good Christian Unity student, I'm going to forgive you. That's how benevolent and beautiful I am. I'm going to forgive you. No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about recognizing that when someone wrongs you or when you are perceiving an adversary of any kind in your external reality, to realize that adversity dwells within your own consciousness. And you have the ability to give that perception over to your authentic or Christ-like nature. Say, I realize through self-awareness and through inner contemplation that this is not how I want to show up in the world. And realize I have a constant help always available to me, which is this higher nature, which is this authenticity. And I can give any inauthentic experience or reaction to that presence, and it will give me a new translation. It will redefine the situation in such a way that I'm able to see it authentically. So whenever we're aware of an inauthentic feeling or inauthentic thought, we simply embrace it. We don't resist it because resistance causes it to persist. We surrender it to our authenticity or our Christ nature. We ask to be aligned with the spiritual truth of who we are, and then we give thanks for the experience regardless of any appearance to the contrary. So I don't know whether you have access to a stone like I did, but I would encourage you during this time between now and Easter, find something. I used to wear a cross. I sort of moved out of my cross days, but I used to wear it around my neck, and that was one of my reminders of who and what I really am. That was one of my indications that there's more to me than I may be perceiving. There's authenticity inside of me, as well as whatever egoic shenanigans, if you will, might be taking place. There's an authenticity, and I can trust that. And I can carry reminders and create reminders in my life so that when I am triggered, when I am having retail revelations and I want to put my arms around the neck of the lady who's telling me, just call 1-800, I can own it for myself. I can grow from it. I can learn from it. As we approach this Easter season, which is symbolic of our God-given ability to rise above all inauthenticity, all of the compelling illusions, and I emphasize illusions, of the time and space realm, we have the ability to realize we are always able to rise up. And you cannot say to yourself too often, I am rising up. I am rising up from inauthenticity, from egoic preoccupation to spiritual authenticity, to this Christ nature. I have the ability to emulate the one that I celebrate. I am rising up. Will you say that with me? I am rising up into personal authenticity. When you're concerned about another person, say to yourself, you are rising up. Will you say, think of an individual right now this morning. Could be yourself, but it could be somebody else that you really care and are concerned about in your life. And think to yourself, you are rising up. Will you say that with me for that individual? You are rising up. And when you're troubled, as we so often may seem to be in this day and age with the state of humanity, say to yourself, if not out loud, we are rising up. We are rising up. Say it with me. We are rising up to a loving authenticity from which we have been created all along. This Easter, my admonition to you is to rise up, to really celebrate. Yes, the man who lived 2,000 years ago, but more than that, the man or woman who is living in you right now. You're rising up. You have the ability to be resurrected any moment that you choose. Let this Easter, dear God, be the moment that you choose that for yourself, and then watch it ripple out into this world in a way that is beyond anything you could possibly have imagined. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, prepare for meditation. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
We move into meditation. I invite you to get comfortable in your seat. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, slowly exhale. And just for a moment or two, continue to breathe slower and slower. As your breath slows down, your thoughts and feelings begin to slow down. And you move into a space of openness where you can just be without a lot of thought, with no drama. You can just breathe and be. Three things we need for a successful life. The first thing is peace. Peace of mind is the greatest thing we desire. If we have peace of mind, we can manage, overcome, or rise above any situation or circumstance in our lives. The second thing is harmony. To be in harmony with the people in our world, with the activity in our world. To know that this is life, and all we have to do is fit in an authentic way and progress forward. Harmony is our most natural characteristic. And the third thing is love, the greatest experience we can have here on earth. To love is to be. So now move into this silence. Allow yourself to be peaceful, be in harmony, and to feel the love within you in the silence. Slowly begin to bring yourself back for meditation. And as I speak these words, make them your own. I am at peace with all the situations and circumstances in my life. I am at peace with all the people in my world. And I'm at peace with the person I am and the life that I'm living. I have peaceful mind, peaceful heart, and peaceful spirit. And so it is.
Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
This time we would take a few moments to express our gratitude for whatever you're thankful for, and also to provide sustenance and support for Unity Temple. I appreciate the support that you give this place. Our affirmation is divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I give and all that I receive. And so it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love being here and supporting this beautiful message that Chris brings to us on Sundays. And so it's really cool when I have someone supporting me. I want you to meet my friend, Mr. Bob Hartley, over here on the piano. Great singer, too, so I've got to do the best I can do to keep this spot here for a little bit longer. I love Bob to death, though, or to life, I should say. So thank you, and it's just an honor to be here in front of you every Sunday that I can. Took a little walk after midnight when nobody else was around. I didn't go far, I just needed the stars to shine on me and help me see, catch on. When will we all catch on? To the glory of love, tell me, what do you think we're living here for? The minds can move mountains if we just catch on, yeah. I'm standing right over the ocean, where every little drop is life. Well, it couldn't be done without being as one, just like the sea. Will humanity catch on? Catch on. When will we all catch on? Catch on. To the glory of love, tell me, what do you think we're living here for? Minds can move mountains if you just catch on. Take it back. Ooh, yeah. Ooh. Just like the sea, will humanity catch on? Catch on. When will we all catch on? Catch on. To the glory of love, tell me, what do you think we're living here for? Minds can move mountains every day, Minds can move mountains anyway. Minds can move mountains if we just catch on. Love will lead the way. Come on. Love will lead the way. Love will lead the way. Here we go. If we just catch on. Have a great Sunday. Okay, we're going to welcome the children in. We are walking as the light, as the love, and as the joy. We are walking as the light of God. We are walking in the light of God. We are walking in the light of God. We are walking, we are walking, we are walking in the light of God. We are walking, we are walking, we are walking in the light of God. Light of God. All right.
Well, this concludes our service. Thank you very much for being here today. We'll close with the prayer for protection and then the peace song. Anybody from the peanut gallery have anything to say?
We did some mazes as our activity to show that if you take the wrong path, you can always go back.
Wow, good. Together we say the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.